Solid Foundation, Israelite Academy, 2018. I am your host, Shabar Judah Ben Israel, bringing you another edition, another lesson. This lesson today is entitled, What are Spirits? Rather they be good spirits or bad spirits. What are spirits generally? Let me remind you guys, this is an esoteric lesson, so take heed, pay close attention.
Influence.
I-N-F-L-U-E-N-C-E. Influence.
Influence.
Influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. That is what spirits are. Spirits are truly influence. Rather, they are bad spirits or good spirits. They are influence. That's what a spirit's. You have synonyms for influence. Let's check some of them out. Synonyms is effect, impact, control, sway, hold, power, authority, mastery, dominion, supremacy, guidance, direction, pressure. The influence of parents on their children. So what are good and bad spirits? Good and bad spirits are not what your Christian church tells you. Brothers and sisters, family and friends, we are not Christians. We are not Christians. We are the Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. We are the true descendants of the ancient Israelites, the modern day black, Hispanic, Latino, Native American man, woman, and child. You are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. We are not Christians. We are Israelites. And so the true Hebrew Israelites knows this. Spirits are not what your Christian organization entitled them to be. They are simply
influence.
Influence. Because when you look into it, you know, in the Christian society, they would say evil spirits can take toll on you. They can control you. They can manipulate you. Well, guess what? Whether it be man, woman, or child, they can play a great effect on your character. Their influence can have a great effect on your character. And that can alter your behavior. As you can see, for influence, you have synonyms. It says effect. Someone influence can affect your character, can affect your behavior. Just like they tell you in the Christian society that evil spirits can affect your behavior, your character. Influence can have impact and control over you. Just like they tell you in the Christian church that an evil spirit can have impact or control over you. Influence can hold and overpower you. Just like in the Christian society, they say evil spirits can take hold and overpower you. Influence is the authority, can have authority over you, and can master your character. Just like in the Christian society, they say evil spirits can have authority and master your character. Influence can have dominion over your being and supremacy, and guide and control your direction and pressurize you. Just like in the Christian society, evil spirits can have dominion over your being, supremacy, and can guide you and direct you and pressurize you. So what are truly spirits, whether they be good or bad? Spirits are what you would call
influence.
Influence. They are not flying around. They are not hovering around. And they don't look like Ghostbusters. They don't look like Casper the Friendly Ghost. They don't look like transparent entities. They don't look like what Hollywood have led you to believe what they look like. Spirits do not look like what Hollywood have led you to believe. Because when we visualize spirits, we visualize some transparent ghost-like figure flying around, entering into people, jumping in and out of men, women, and children. That's not how spirits look, brothers and sisters. Spirits actually do not have a visage. Spirits are supernatural. We are living on the third dimensional plane. And since we are on the third dimensional plane, spirits are not third dimensional. Spirits are fourth dimensional beings. Supernatural celestial beings which the third dimension cannot behold. Because they live in a total different dimension than the third dimension. They live in the fourth dimension. The Most High lives in the fifth dimension. And so with that being said, you must realize that spirits, they don't have a form of countenance how Hollywood will have you to believe, but simply spirits are influence.
Influence.
Okay? Now, if you still don't believe me, I'm going to give you a couple scriptures based on influence. How influence can hold, control your being, can affect, master you, and have dominion over you. Just like the Christian society say an evil spirit can. So don't worry about it when they tell you watch out for certain friends, because when you go over their house, they can have spirits in their house. That's bullshit. I'm telling you right now. You ever heard brothers and sisters say such things? They would say, this man, this woman, this child has an evil spirit on them. Well, if they do, that is what you call negative influence. It's not an actual entity that's taking control of them. It's just they are man, woman, or child of negative influence. That's it. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 33. 1 Corinthians, the new covenant. 1 Corinthians 15, 33. So we are in 1 Corinthians 15th chapter. We are going to begin at the 33rd verse. Based off influence. It says, be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. So what is evil communications that corrupts good manners in 1 Corinthians 15:33? Evil communications that corrupts good manners are what you call negative influence. So be mindful, brothers and sisters, and be not deceived. You might want to watch who you keep company with. Why? Because evil communications corrupt good manners. Evil communications comes from negative men, women, and children influence. Man, woman, and children, if they are negative, they can have a bad vibe on you. So that's what it means. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Meaning that it's not good to hang around each and every one that has negative influence, because it can corrupt your character. It can corrupt good manners. It can control your being. It can take a toll on you as a person. And that is what you call evil spirits. Not actual transparent entities jumping in inside of you. That's not what the Bible labels evil spirits to be. The evil spirits is nothing but negative influence. Now, good spirits are what you would call positive influence. Okay, so let's look at this term here.
Inspiration.
Inspiration. Now, these are righteous men, women, and children that plays, good influence on the behalf, that has good influence on your behalf. Now, if you're a man, woman, or child that is influential as having good influence on a person, they would call it inspiration. Inspiration, as you can break it down for yourselves, you can see that in means to enter. Inspiration. Now, if you look closely, you can see that inspiration, it came from the root word spirit. Inspiration, spirit. So when someone inspires you, or when someone has a great inspiration on your character, inspiration, that means that they are putting their spirit inside of you. So to inspire someone is to put your spirit in someone. See, to inspire someone is to put your spirit in someone. So someone can play great inspiration on your character. So to inspire is to put your spirit within someone, which the Christian society will say, rather, the Christian society would label that to be, you being good inspiration on a person's character. They would say this is what you would call good spirits, because inspiration and spiritus are in spirit, to put your spirit within someone. To be a positive influence on someone is to put your spirit in someone, in spirit or inspiration. You see? And so now we're going into the Old Covenant, and we are going into Proverbs 1 and 10, dealing with influence as spirits being influenced. Proverbs 1 and 10. It says, "My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not." What does that mean? If my son, it says, my son, if sinners entice thee, that means if sinners approach you in a negative way, if sinners come up to you that is up to no good, they don't have a damn thing good to offer you, it says, consent thou not. That means do not heed to them. Because if you heed to them, that's basically submitting to their negative influence. That means that you are submitting to their negative influence. If sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Don't give in to their negative influence, because if you give in to their negative influence, you're going to be what the Christian society would say, you're going to be possessed. You're going to be under their possession, as what the Christian society would label that to be, under evil spirits. And so it's not spirits that are actually being put on people. It's negative influence that are being put on people. So if my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. That means if you see someone that does not mean you any good, get them the hell out of your circle, man. Tell them to get the hell on, man. Because if you continue to hang around that person, then they're going to entice you. What does that mean? They're going to have negative influence on your character, causing your character to be possessed. So there's no such thing as spirits, but if there are spirits, spirits are what you would call negative influence, whether it be negative influence or positive influence. That's what it's talking about. Not Casper the Friendly Ghost. Okay? Not Sam Wheat starring the movie Ghost. Okay? Because ghosts or spirits or demons don't look like Hollywood will have you to believe. It's just negative or positive influence. 2 Timothy 3, starting with first verse. 2 Timothy 3, starting with first verse. This know also that in the last days, I believe, it says in the last days, perilous times shall come. For man shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, and unholy. That's what's going on in today's time. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. All this is going on today. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof from. It says turn such away. So traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power. What does Paul tell Timothy? He tells Timothy in the second epistle, he says, turn away. He said, turn away from that, because people like this, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, like people like, right here it says, lovers of selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient. All these people right here, that's doing these things, that's talking about people that's negative influence to you. And so if they are lovers of own selves, covetous, boasters, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, if they are truce breakers, false accusers, despisers, all these things, if they are indulging in all these things, it says in 2 Timothy 3:5, the turn such away. Why? Because that's negative influence. And if you don't turn such away, as 2 Timothy 3:5 says, then you're going to be controlled and overpowered. Okay? So I'm just letting you know that what the Christian society call evil spirits or good spirits, we Hebrews, we know it as negative or positive influence, man. Okay? One more, and I'm going to close out. Because when you look at the word influence, let me break down the anatomy or the analytics of the word influence. When you look at the word
influence,
it comes from the Latin. Now, if you look up the etymology of influence, it comes from Latin, which means inflore. Now, in means into. Flore means to flow. So influence means to flow into. And whether how a person operates, whether this person is positive or negative, their characteristics can flow into you, man. And so that's where you have the term influence. And it comes from the origin of the Latin inflore, which means to flow into, or stream in, or pour in. And a person can do that whether they negative or positive. They can pour in, they can stream in, or they can flow into you, man. Okay? One more verse and I'm closing it out. So we're going back into the new covenant, and we're going into the gospel Mark, starting with the 5th verse. Okay? So this is Mark chapter 5. And let's start with verse 1. It says, and they came over into the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. Now, unclean spirit is somebody with negative energy on them, because we are all spirits. Brothers and sisters, we all are spirits in the flesh. But to have an unclean spirit is to have a negative mind, a negative character, to be in low vibration. And so an unclean spirit is a person with negative traits. That's all. An unclean spirit with person with negative traits. A person that offers nothing but negative influence. Mark 5:3. Who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man can bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him, because this guy was negative, man. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. Yeah, because this is what this guy, this is his character. This guy was a vicious person, man. This guy was belligerent. He was vicious, and he was dangerous, man. He had that negative influence. He was operating on a negative level, man, with low vibration. But when he saw Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus, afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Yahushua, the Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God, that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. Now what is an unclean spirit? Negative spirit. A man, woman, or child that is operating negatively. That's all. He asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. So why it says for we are many? Because it wasn't actual multiple demons in the guy. Because remember, the term demon is not in the King James Bible. So why I said we are many? Because this guy had many negative traits. This guy had many negative aspects. And many negative aspects, many negative traits can be labeled to many spirits, evil spirits. And so with that being said, man, I'm going to stop there. But that's what spirits are. Spirits just are influence, whether it be positive or negative. And so I hope you guys was edified. Share this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Support the ministry. We need your help, brothers and sisters. This has been a wonderful lesson. I am your host, Shabar Judah ben Israel. Until next lesson, brothers and sisters, on the behalf